It's the summer of 1945.
Meine Arbeit für richtig hältst. My work you think is right.
Germany had recently surrendered in World War II to the Allies after Adolf Hitler had killed himself.
The general puts his signature to the document, which acknowledges the complete defeat of the German armed forces.
The Allied forces swept through Germany and present-day Poland and discovered the concentration and death camps and learned about the atrocities of the Holocaust. Shortly after this, the famous Swiss psychoanalyst Carl Jung writes an influential essay that asserts the German people of this time feel a collective Schuld, or collective guilt. This term collective Schuld then enters into the common discourse in Germany.
The tribunal sits in judgment upon 20 leaders of the Nazi Party.
The Nuremberg trials and subsequent war crime proceedings not only legally codified the German guilt of key Nazi officials, but also morally implicated the German nation as a whole. The images of the concentration camps and staggering statistics shocked the world and instigated a profound collective guilt amongst German people. And this has lived since then all the way until modern society today. So in short, that is what we were speaking about, the collective guilt of the German nation and German people from World War II time and the Holocaust. I've wanted to make a video about this for quite some time, but I've never felt fully comfortable doing it. I've had a lot of conversations in private about this topic, but never felt comfortable doing it publicly on a YouTube video. But now I do, and it is a very delicate and sensitive subject, and so I'm going to be treading very carefully. So in this video, I'm going to first give you the case for acknowledging German guilt, essentially the pros of German guilt. Then I'm going to give you the case against over-acknowledging German guilt, kind of the cons of German guilt. And then I'm going to give you my personal thoughts and opinions on the subject at the end. So let's get into it. But guys, before we dive into all of that, we need to talk about your privacy on the internet. And that is where the sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN, comes into play. CyberGhost is a world-leading VPN or virtual private network that has over 9,000 servers in 90 different countries, which gives you the option of switching your IP address around in between them. This allows you to remain anonymous and protected online, among other benefits. It's 2024, guys. Data is the new gold, and hackers and data brokers want your information. They want to get it. They want to sell it. And CyberGhost helps protect you from that. Anytime I'm accessing Wi-Fi, especially in public, I'm using CyberGhost VPN on my laptop and on my phone. It's the most recommended VPN on Trustpilot, and it has over 38 million users worldwide. You could be the next one. Not only does it provide you security and keep you anonymous online, but it also allows you to watch different content from around the world that might be geo-blocked where you are. I use it all the time while I'm here in Germany to watch some of my favorite streaming platforms. Just switch my IP address to the States, and I can watch things like HBO or Paramount Plus. And for my German viewers, you can use CyberGhost to watch Formula One again for free by switching your IP address to Austria, and you can watch it for free on the ORF channel. It also works on every single major platform, and one account can be used on up to 7 different devices, so you can share it with your friends and family. If you sign up for CyberGhost using the link in the description of this video, you'll get a great deal, 83% off, paying just over €2 a month, plus 4 months free. Plus, there's a 45-day money-back guarantee anyway, so it's risk-free. It's an awesome product for you guys, something that I use every single day, multiple times a day. And if you sign up using the link below, it really helps support me and this YouTube channel. So check out CyberGhost. All right, let's get into it. Part 1, the case for acknowledging German guilt. Why German guilt is actually a positive thing. One of the strongest arguments for acknowledging German guilt is the moral responsibility to remember the victims and ensure that such atrocities will never happen again. This perspective holds that the collective memory of the Holocaust and World War II times of the German people as a whole is key. It is critical to have this collective memory and guilt in order to prevent anything like that from ever happening again. And it is crucial in educating the new generation about the dangers of totalitarianism.
Ich glaube, es ist immer in Deutschland ein totales Tabuthema.
Now, this is why you'll see so many monuments and museums around Germany dedicated to the victims of the Holocaust and during this time. A while back, I actually made a video about a very certain type of these memorials, the Stolpersteine, these stepping stones that you'll see all around German cities and in other countries as well, that pay tribute to the victims of the Holocaust. And then also here in Schwäbisch Hall, we even have a small Holocaust memorial out by our train station. So this is why you will be seeing lots of memorials, monuments, museums dedicated to educating people about this subject. The goal of all this, of course, is to never forget what happened, also pay tribute to the victims and to their families and descendants. 2, reconciliation and redemption. After World War II, Germany faced international condemnation, understandably so. By acknowledging its guilt, Germany sought not only to express remorse, but also to rebuild trust and establish peaceful relationships with other nations, especially those directly affected by the Nazi atrocities. This process involved reparations, such as those outlined by the Luxembourg Agreement in 1952 with Israel, and ongoing financial support to Holocaust survivors. This acknowledgement is often regarded as a step towards healing, allowing the nation to make amends and move forward while also not denying the scars and pain of history. 3. Preventative measures. Supporters in favor of the concept of German guilt believe that acknowledging the guilt is necessary to prevent the resurgence of extremist ideologies. By openly addressing its past, Germany aims to foster a democratic culture that actively resists any form of discrimination or hatred. The continuous acknowledgement of German guilt serves as a preventative measure against the resurgence of extremist ideology. This is not only a matter of preserving democracy, but also to protect future generations from the dangers of forgetting the past. So these are kind of 3 points in favor of the idea of German guilt, and that this is a positive thing. Now let's move into 3 critiques of the concept of German guilt. Critics of this concept argue that the idea of inherited guilt is very problematic. New generations of Germans who, of course, had nothing to do with the atrocities of the past sometimes feel burdened by a historical legacy that they had no part in creating. So they're just born with this guilt and this burden.
Wir können nichts dafür, unsere Kinder nicht, unsere Enkel nicht. Also irgendwann müsste mal Schluss sein.
This viewpoint raises questions about the fairness of the weight of the burden that young Germans are expected to carry for their ancestors' actions.
And when I went to school in the 70s, we learned about the Nazis every day.
It suggests for a more nuanced understanding that differentiates between remembering historical facts and then imposing emotional and moral responsibility on those who had nothing to do with it.
Haben Sie manchmal Angst, dass sowas wieder passieren könnte?
Nein, keine Angst. Hier bei uns in Europa haben wir genug gelernt, der Erste und der Zweite Weltkrieg. Ich glaube nicht, dass das sowas kommt. Die Menschheit ist vernünftig geworden.
2. The idea of national stigmatization. There's a concern that the continued emphasis of German guilt will lead to an everlasting stigma around the country of Germany.
By the time I was 14, I thought I invaded Poland. It was like, what did I do, huh?
Making Germany be seen perpetually as a country in need of redemption. Critics of this argue that this would overshadow any sort of positive contributions that Germany makes to society. The focus on the guilt might also impede the country's ability to engage in equal footing internationally, constantly seeing Germany through the lens of its darkest period of history, and always having that little shadow like, oh yeah, Germany's doing a good job here, but yeah, watch them, keep an eye out for Germany. And then 3 is sort of an oversimplification of history. Focusing predominantly on German guilt totally overshadows the complex environment and situation that kind of led to the rise of the Nazi regime. And the problem here is that this kind of chalks all of that up to, oh, the German people are a certain type of way, and they're especially susceptible to this, and they're guilty, and this would only happen in Germany. This oversimplification is really troublesome because it fails to acknowledge that this could happen to any country.
The worst event, the Holocaust, arises in a quite advanced society, which had the best universities, which had the highest rates of intermarriage between Jews and non-Jews of any country, advanced, and yet Hitler, and yet the Holocaust.
And that's where it's very problematic to kind of just pinpoint this, that's a Germany problem. That's a human problem. So what I just gave you there are kind of the ideas and arguments from experts on the topic, sort of 3 reasons in favor of German guilt, and then 3 reasons sort of opposing extreme German guilt. Now I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinion on the subject. So I've lived in Germany now on and off for like 7 to 8 years. First came here 2016 to play American football, really fell in love with the place. Germany has become my second home. My girlfriend is German. Of course, her family is German. I've got a lot of German friends. And so Germany is a very special place for me. And so my thoughts on the subject. I always talk about how I really respect Germany's approach to its dark past. Every single country has a dark past. Every single country. I mean, humans just like 100, 150, 200 years ago were just brutal, just absolutely brutal. And so I think every single country has a dark past in one form of another. And I think Germany does a very good job of kind of acknowledging that and working to educate about it. Like we talked about earlier in the video, you know, with all of the museums, monuments, education in schools. It's interesting. Before I came to Germany, you know, you hear like, oh, hey, don't talk about World War II over there. And also you hear these rumors, oh, Germany they don't talk about World War II in school. Like they just shut that off. That's like a rumor that people think about Germany. And of course, it's the opposite. It's the complete opposite. As this comedian says,
Every day, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty. I had a school subject called guilt.
So I really, really admire that, and Germans are incredibly educated on the subject and know the importance of, as a society, making sure something like that doesn't ever happen again. Really admire and respect that aspect of it. And it's like you can go, I've gone to a concentration camp, I went to Dachau, I've been to a bunch of different memorials, I've gone all around here and checked out all of the Stolpersteine and the names of the victims. And overall, I'm just incredibly impressed at Germany's approach to this. And then the other side of it is I feel a little bit badly for some German people. I've had a YouTube channel since 2016. I get a very unique glimpse into the mind of German people. A big percentage of my audience, like half of my audience, is German, right? And YouTube comments are fascinating. YouTube comments are a very honest form of communication. It's like a YouTube comment is almost like a glimpse into people talking about you in a different room. It's very honest. And so I've gotten hundreds of thousands of YouTube comments over the years. And I've noticed a pattern that anytime I make a video praising something about Germany or saying I'm impressed by Germany on this subject or I'm proud of Germany for this, the majority of the comments, the sentiment in the comments will be, wow, I'm German. Thank you so much for saying this. All I ever hear about is how bad my country is. And it's really nice to see somebody, a foreigner, talking about Germany in a positive way. That is the bulk of the comments and the feedback that I get on those types of videos. And I think that's a bit sad for a German person to have to feel that. A young German person who has nothing to do with the past, who's just like probably a German guy or a German girl my age, who's just watching YouTube, and they feel so strongly like, oh wow, this is so crazy. Somebody's saying something positive about Germany, about my country. I can't believe it. I'm gonna leave a YouTube comment about it because it's so rare and I never get to feel that. And on that side of things, that's where I think it's sad. And I don't think that it's good to make people feel guilty or badly about their heritage. And it's a delicate balance of keeping that education and that remembrance and making sure the history stays in the public conscious and that it's something that everybody works to not repeating, while also not making individual human beings feel like this is their burden. And it's interesting. I think I just kind of have a problem with the word guilt, German guilt. And I've seen some young Germans talk about it and say, it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility to make sure it never happens again. And I like that kind of sentiment. I like that kind of approach to the subject. But I also think it's not just Germans' responsibility to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen again. It's all human beings in all societies. And that is kind of the flip side of it. So like I said, it's a little bit of a balance. And then I think another point is, and it was kind of mentioned by the experts' takes that we mentioned earlier, is sort of the inability for Germany to ever escape the stigma of being a country or being a people that is in need of redemption constantly, consistently. And it's like when I look at American media and how Germans are portrayed, they're either the bad guy, the villain, or they're like the weird, funky, quirky, strange character. And these are like the portrayals of Germans in American media is never positive. That is kind of what I'm getting at. And I wonder, I think it's like, it's always okay to kind of poke fun at the Germans. Because, well, I mean, they were the bad guys in World War II. They deserve it. We deserve to make fun of them. And so this kind of consistent stigmatization of an entire country and an entire people, that annoys me. And I get where it comes from, but it's like, all right, enough. And so that kind of annoys me. So that's kind of the other part of it. But also, like I said, how do you balance that? And I think, to me, the main thing is not to be using the term guilt, even though the title of this video is German guilt. But that's kind of the point that I'm making with my spiel here, is that I think the term is more responsibility, I would say. And it's not just Germans' responsibility, it's all people of society's responsibility to make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen again. That's another point, is I really don't like when people, as mentioned in the topics, oversimplify and say, oh, that's how the Germans are. That could only happen there with those people. When in reality, this is something that could happen to any group of people, to any society under the right circumstances. There's nothing special about the Germans in this way. And so that's why I say it's everyone's responsibility to have this in the back of their mind. And of course, Germany leads the way with that and the education and everything. But it's not just Germany. And I guess that's what I'm kind of trying to say. All right, guys. So that's my spiel. I'm just violently curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this subject. Whether you are German, whether you're American, whatever country you're from, very curious to hear your thoughts on this fascinating and important subject. All right, guys, that is going to be all. I would like to give a shout out again to the lovely sponsor of today's video, CyberGhost VPN, an awesome product that I use every single day, multiple times a day. Got a great deal for you. The link in the description. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos. I really appreciate it. Hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time.